today is Ceszara Tevet. So there's a very, very big machloket amongst the poskim in regards to wearing wearing tefillin and tfilat mincha on the day of a fast. So first, you should know that in regards to wearing tefillin and mincha, the Kaf HaChaim brings that the Mekubalim, the Kabbalists, used to wear tefillin on a regular day, not a fast day. They would wear tefillin and tfilat mincha. So the question arises on any Erev Shabbat, do they also wear tefillin mincha Erev Shabbat or not? So the Kaf HaChaim brings that the Himdat Yamim writes that you should put tefillin, but he brings a long list of great Sephardi poskim that say on any Erev Shabbat you should never wear tefillin. Forget about a fast day, but regardless, after the 5th hour of the day, there's already what's called Ha'arat Shabbat, and therefore a person should refrain from wearing tefillin from that hour on. It's important to know that obviously if it's a person who did not wear tefillin of Rashi that morning, then obviously he has to put on. You want to be a Kabbalist on the expense of the Pshat, it doesn't work. So if he didn't wear tefillin Shaharit, of course, he has to wear tefillin. But if a person wore tefillin, he just wants to do it before Mincha, so any Erev Shabbat, the Chidah writes, the Kaf HaChaim brings it also, and many, many great poskim say that he should not do so. And regardless, the Syrian custom is by most not to wear tefillin mincha of a fast day, especially when it's Erev Shabbat. It's not even the Moroccans who do that, and the Temanim, the Yemenite Jews who wear tefillin mincha. Many of them refrain from doing so on Erev Shabbat of a fast day. So today, definitely, we will refrain from wearing tefillin in tfilat mincha. The main reason, it's actually sourced in the Beit Yosef. The Beit Yosef in Siman Mem Vav, Yichot Tefillin, he writes that the custom is on the day of a fast day, because you are limited to say 100 brachot, you should try and add the brachot of talet and tefillin. So that's really the source of why they do it. It's sourced in the Beit Yosef, so they definitely have what to rely on, and it is a good minhag. But this year, it coincides with Erev Shabbat, so definitely they should refrain. In regards to the problem of not saying 100 brachot, so we have many other ways to go about that. The Shulchan Aruch writes clearly that when a person hears somebody going up to Sefer Torah and he answers Amen, that's considered as if he said a bracha. That's mitzaref to mea brachot. So the poskim ask, can you say Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo, or does the person blessing have to have you in mind or not? So many of the poskim write, it's actually Rabbi Akiva Eger, he writes that the reason why it's saying Amen to a person going up and it's considered that you, as if you blessed, it's not that you're yotzeh shomea keoneh. It's as if you said that bracha and you fulfilled the mitzvah. He writes the reasoning is Gadol haoneh amen yoter min hamevarech. So he says that zechut is greater than 100 brachot. So add that as one of the brachot. That's what he says. That's brought down in Rabbi Akiva Eger and also in Matei Ephraim. They both say the same thing, and therefore you could say Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. And even if the mevarech did not have you in mind, it's considered as if you did that, so you don't have to worry about that. In regards to Birkat Kohanim, so we know that the Mishnah in Maseret Ta'anit says in Yom Kippurim, in Mincha, they would refrain from saying Birkat Kohanim. In Tfilat Ne'ilah, which was 30 minutes Samuch LaShekiah, they would do so. So the question is, on a regular Ta'anit Tzibur, a regular fast day, should a person do Birkat Kohanim or not? And what is the earliest time to do so? So the Hazon Ish has a big chidush. Usually he's very strict. Here he has a big leniency. He says even if you're praying Mincha Gedolah, you should say Birkat Kohanim. He says the only problem was on Yom Kippurim, I'm not going to go into it, why in Mincha there you don't do it. But here he says, even in Mincha Gedolah you could do so. That's the Hazon Ish's psak. But comes Chacham Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, he disagrees strongly, and he says a person should definitely not from Mincha Gedolah. The Ben Ish Chai in Rav Palim and in Hilchot Ben Ish Chai, he writes that from Pelaga Mincha, a person could recite Birkat Kohanim. But comes Chacham Avadia, and he says for the Sephardim, by most, unless you have a custom that it's for sure to do Birkat Kohanim so early from Plag, then that would be okay. But he says it's better not to bless Birkat Kohanim unless you're within 30 minutes of Shekiah. So Shekiah is about 5:26. So here, we start Mincha at 4:40. So by the time we get to Birkat Kohanim, it's in the end of the repetition, you have to be within 30 minutes. The Kaf HaChaim writes something very interesting. He says, the Halacha is that you have 30 minutes. We say, yeah, if it's within 30 minutes, you do Birkat Kohanim. Yes. So, but you have to make sure that the Kohanim get up to the Duchan to bless Birkat Kohanim within 30 minutes. The Kaf HaChaim has a stringency. he says that you have to start korbanot of minha within 30 minutes. Meaning, korbanot, Kriyat Sefer Torah, I don't care where you are in the Hazara, where you are when you get to Birkat Kohanim. The beginning of minha for you has to be, I guess would be by the Shem Yehud or Vinoam, whenever it is, when you start the Mizmorim, that would already be the beginning of minha. And if that, let's say it's 4:40 according to Kaf HaChaim, here we would not be able to say Birkat Kohanim today. But Chacham Ovadia and also Rav Shlomo Auerbach, they don't understand such a chiluk, and they say it makes no sense if the idea is to say Birkat Kohanim within 30 minutes. So that's it. As long as you get to the Kohanim, and let's say they come up to the Dukhan within 30 minutes of Shekiyah, you should do that. That's the common practice in most Kehilot, and that's what we will be doing here. One more halacha in regards to Kiddush. So, a lot of Batei Knesset, there's actually Gemara in Yeruvin, it's a Machloket Tanaim, what happens when a public fast day falls Erev Shabbat. It's a big Machloket, what you do. The Gemara there was talking about Tisha B'Av, that fell on a Friday. Now that we have a set schedule, it never happens. None of the fasts ever fall on a Friday, other than Yud B'Tevet, Asra B'Tevet, like today. That's the only fast day that will fall on a Friday. So the Gemara says an idea that a person should not come into Shabbat kshu menuval. He comes into Shabbat morning, very, very afflicted, very hungry, thirsty. So it's not kvod Shabbat. So definitely for a private or a personal fast, a person accepts upon himself, he has to worry about that. But the Shulchan Aruch Harav, Rabbeinu Zalman, he writes beautifully and he says that when it's a public fast day, and it happens to be, it's not something you accept it upon yourself. The fast fell on that day. That's what Hashem wanted. That's how when it fell on the calendar. There you do not have to worry about coming into Shabbat menuval, because you're doing the Halacha. The Halacha requires it. But definitely you should refrain from taking your time. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people take their time, they walk back, they have a long walk. You should make sure you pray the closest place to home. Make sure that you don't make, especially if the family and guests are fasting, you shouldn't take your time. When the fast ends, Mikar Adin, especially because it's Shabbat here and we have Kiddushat Shabbat, there's no need to be strict, to follow the stricter approaches. On a regular fast, you want to wait 30 minutes, 45 minutes, fine, it's on you. But here, your whole family has to do Kiddush, your whole family is dependent on you, so you should do Kiddush immediately, 20 minutes, we said it's 5:56, you should do Kiddush. A lot of people miss having a cup of coffee. So what do they want to do? After the Kiddush, he wants to make himself a nice coffee with milk. Is that permitted or not? So of course the Pshat is it's permitted. But the Beit Yosef brings the words of the Zohar HaKadosh, in Parashat Terumah, and he says that a person who eats milk and meat in one, whether it's meat first and then milk, or vice versa, Beshata hada or besudata hada, what does that mean? Either within the hour or in the same meal, it says that mithaze al mitzcha gadya mikalsa agdi mekulas. Whatever that means, it's a goat is imprinted on his head, and it's not a good thing. It says a terrible thing in the Zohar Kadosh about someone who eats milk and meat together. So the Zohar Kadosh says that even if you had milk first, and you want to do it in the same meal after Netilat Yadayim, it's a problem. So if you want to avoid that question, so it'd be proper to have a cup of coffee after Kiddush prior to Netilat Yadayim. If you want to do it after, so do oat milk, almond milk. Today you have so many substitutes, it's not a problem. You could do all of those, and that would also be good. Hazak Baruch Rabotai. Yom Tov V'Ruach.